Hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the AV Technologies YouTube show, where we bring you all the latest in AI news and keeping you up to speed on the latest news and events. Trying to do this daily to keep you in the loop and keep sharing what's happening and really give you our take on it as well. So today was a little bit quiet in the news, I would say. We just had a quick scan of what's possibly pertinent to the community and what's grabbing our attention. Will, what's your thoughts? What did you see today?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, some days you get, obviously there is news, sometimes there is not, but it depends on what catches your eye, doesn't it? I mean, I think we both find different things interesting, and it was a little bit of a dry day, but I dug deep and I found this article, which I think is an interesting one to talk about. Let me share my screen as per usual. Here we go. Right, just close off that. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, still there, mate. Still there.
Perfect. Here we go. So this article, and you may have seen it because it's from a few days ago now, is Google and OpenAI. They entered both of their models, so 2.5 Pro, Gemini 2.5 Pro for Google and GPT-5 for OpenAI, and they entered it into a big coding competition, which is one of the world's biggest one. And I mean, they absolutely dominated the competition. And the key behind this one is because they're solving unsolved algorithmic challenges. And this is a really key one, because unsolved means that, they don't have it in their training data. They actually have to reason. They actually have to problem solve like a human to do it. And GPT-5, by the way, came out with a perfect score, 12 out of 12 problems, which is, incredible. And then Gemini 2.5 Deep Think, they solved 10 out of 12, which again is utterly an incredible performance. And just to give you a little bit of insight into what the competition is, other than obviously solving coding problems, it is, it's a big competition worldwide, 139 universities, 103 countries competing in the final. And during the finals, competitors must solve an identical set of algorithmic problems within a 5-hour time frame. And that's sort of the competition. And I, for one, am just blown away about the AI progress here. And the article references a path to AGI. And that's really, I think, what we're experiencing going on here. As I said, when you're talking about unsolved problems, that really means these models have to reason. They have to problem solve. They don't have it in their training data, not just regurgitating information which they have seen before. And that, I think, is the crucial difference and what I really want to highlight. And it's absolutely fascinating. What is your take hearing this, Ben?
Well, I think the AGI stance is quite an interesting perspective, personally. We're hearing that AGI could come by 2030, maybe sooner, maybe after. Again, it depends on your definition of AGI. But the fact that it's reasoning, and like you said, it's not regurgitating, because we've talked about, the issues with copyright law and people sort of wanting to sort of protect their IP and their knowledge and perspectives and all the rest of it. So like you said, this wasn't the AI regurgitating, it was literally it having to reason. So that's really quite interesting. Do you think we're starting to see an element of AGI occurring here? Is this like an example of it sort of starting almost, or do you think it's just too soon to tell?
I think it depends on your definition of AGI and what that actually means to you. Artificial general intelligence, what does that mean? It could mean a lot. It could mean a whole spectrum of different things. I actually think that we'll watch AGI emerge slowly. I don't think it's going to be like one day we wake up and we go, right, well, this is it. This is AGI. I think the capabilities of these models, are slow to grow. And again, if you compare a frontier model from 3 years ago to a frontier model to today, I think you'd probably laugh at the quality compared to what we're seeing now. So I think it's like that portion model that you can't see much model to model, but over time, this emergent AGI, I think, is definitely a thing. And I think we're certainly displaying an element of what AGI can be, which is looking at a problem for the first time and solving it.
Well, that's what I sort of mean. It is this, like you said, it's not going to be signposted and, and say, da-da, here we go. And that's why I guess was sort of leaning towards, is this a signal that this is possibly the early signs of it without realizing it is, if that makes sense. So
yeah, in terms of that definition, then 100%, I really think we're seeing some of this emergent behavior coming through. I think one of the biggest things we have to get over is an AI being able to reason and problem solve things that we've never seen before. And a way to benchmark how close we are to artificial general intelligence is by giving these models problems that we can't solve or we don't know, and can it solve it? If it can, then we're really moving towards human level capabilities there.
Does the article sort of indicate the difference in how the humans did versus the computers? Does it give an indication of? I haven't sort of looked at it in close detail, but just be interesting to see how far off the humans were. And again, I think it illustrates, it is mind-blowing. And, we're working in this space. And for people who aren't living and breathing this, it's pretty hot. They might not be grasping the significance, but I think it is going to change so much, like the way that we work, the way that the jobs are going to happen. Why? 100%. If the AI is fundamentally so much superior than a human, then what's left for the human?
Let me share my screen and we'll compare how the humans did to the AI. This is Gemini. This is Gemini who did slightly worse than ChatGPT, GPT-5, I should say. So here it is. Here's the graph. And this graph is basically showing each problem, how many tries it took to solve, and how long it took to solve. So the blue is Gemini, and the grey is the fastest university team, and how long it took. And you can see on problem A, Gemini came out, and it did it in 40 minutes versus 73 for the human team. B, Gemini did not solve, human team did it in 53. And you sort of see like that. C, Gemini actually solved a problem that no human team could solve, which was C, 30, and it did it in 30 minutes, which is crazy, isn't it?
And they have 5 hours for each one? Or was it 5 hours for total?
5 hours total. 5 hours total.
Okay.
I think I might be same 5 hour time to solve. Yeah, to solve all 12 problems. So yeah, so you have 5 hours total to solve everything. So it's not only a competition of knowledge and problem solving, but can you do it under a time limit as well? And yeah, it's very interesting. It's definitely very back and forth between between the human and Gemini being able to do it. I want to see if there's a graph here for the ChatGPT one, because there's a problem here that the humans took 270 minutes to solve, and Gemini couldn't. Don't know if we have a graph here for that. I don't think we do. That's a shame, because obviously GPT-5 did the best. Do we have it? I don't think we do. Oh well, that's fine. But yeah, you can see it's a mixed bag. Sometimes the humans were faster, sometimes Gemini was faster, but what is definitely for sure is that it's highly comparable and it's reasoning beyond a doubt. So yeah, it's amazing. As you said, I think this has so many onward impacts. What does this mean for the job markets? What does this mean for even our own definitions of ourselves and what intelligence is? I think we're getting to a point where we can start to question what it means to be human. Sorry to get deep on a Monday morning at 9:30, but it's these kind of questions that come up when you see these kind of results. We've never seen a machine do this before.
You know what? And I think again, sort of expanding the conversation a little bit. We were watching this as a family, this TV show, educating Yorkshire, or there's a school basically that
one of those shows where they go into the schools.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because there was an incident when one of the pupils, it appeared as though they used an AI for their English, and you got to see behind the scenes of how the teachers were dealing with this. There was no clear way for them to be definitive. And they, and they had to just ask the pupil whether they did or whether they didn't. And again, it's not so much about that, but it's about what does it mean for education? What is even the point of going to school? and even, I mean, obviously we want to expand our minds and our thinking and our ability to reason, and there's all those reasons, but it's also the way that the education system set up is not prepared for this technological shift, and we're not even preparing the next generation of the workforce ready for this technology. The teachers, again, we're just trying to figure this out ourselves. We've had a brief training session on it for like half an hour, and now we're all busy with a day job, just like squirreling away and trying to keep on top of everything. So it's that I think the whole society is just so underprepared for what's about to happen.
Yeah,
and people like ourselves who are building in this space, we're trying to solve problems, but we're also conscious of what does that mean. So it's a really, it's a paradigm shift, and I think we're living through it. And it's a revolution that we're experiencing, and like anything, it's hard to sort of, I guess, you won't know until you can look back in time and history. And then better be able to judge. So it's really interesting. And again, it'd be interesting to see how, if they do this test, this competition every year, see how the stats change and how improves, maybe the AI just starts even outperforming on every single one of those tests.
I'm really curious to see the same graph. I'm really curious to see the same graph for GPT-5, because obviously GPT-5 did every problem. It outperformed every human team. In the competition, it solved every problem. There was not one thing it couldn't do, and I wish I could see the time graph for that as well, because I think that's fascinating.
It's strange why they didn't include it. I don't understand why, but
who knows? But yes, I think
who knows.
I think that is a good summary, Ben. I couldn't have said it better myself, I don't think. So maybe that's a good point to wrap today's episode on.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, I hope you got some value from that. If you did, it doesn't cost you anything. Just hit a like. Say hello in the comments.
Do it.
To sort of, let us know what you think. Otherwise, we'll catch you up on the next one. Look forward to seeing you then. Take care, guys.
Cheers.